Hello there, welcome to the F1 Forum here in Melbourne. What a fantastic Australian Grand Prix that was. Incredible.
Well, you say it was incredible. Absolutely, I can't believe there's a person here who could have called that result, because Kubica, who hasn't been given a prayer last year or indeed this year, and here he is popping up, and he looked really good and really comfortable, and the Renault is not that bad. It has to be included in the mix.
I'm just going to stop you there. Just have a little look here. This is the first. This is John Button, Jensen's dad, putting on his orange McLaren T-shirt for the first time. Let's just pop in here. John, how does that feel?
What?
How does that feel? Come on, tell us.
It's all right.
It's all right. doesn't fit particularly well. Just a little note to McLaren, get a John Button-sized orange T-shirt for him. But congratulations, and if you haven't seen these before, we didn't see them too much last year. This is what McLaren wear when they win Grand Prix. So congratulations. Just give us your thoughts. Jensen picking up his first win with this team. It's been quite emotional for everybody, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, it's an emotional race. I mean, the really good thing was that when the team told him they had three laps before he came in, they were ready for him, and he just said, no, I'm coming in now. Came in, and next thing I saw on the television was him going off the circuit. I thought, oh, now we've got one of those really embarrassing races. Finished last, and then he went purple. So whether he did that on purpose to try and fool the other teams, I don't know. You're going to ask him.
At that point, I thought he'd come in too early. It looked like he came in too early because he whizzed off the track, but then he went purple, as you say. So inspired choice. And what's really impressive is everyone that we've spoken to from McLaren has acknowledged that straight away. He's made a big impression on the team here this weekend.
Thank you very much.
John, I have to ask you, can you party 2 nights in a row? Because I think was it you I saw last night somewhere lurking around in a nice night?
We went to bed early, as you did.
Listen, can I just confirm that Eddie Jordan, when he's out here, does not go partying before he's live on the BBC. But, John, you can go and have a fantastic party. Thank you very much. Enjoy the T-shirt. I have to say, though, Jessica does look slightly better in hers than you look in you. Oh, you're not surprised, though. I'm sure you're thinking
well,
the same.
We should get
John,
Jessica in so everyone can actually see that, because
yeah, we'll see if we can
take your word for
it. She's very happy. Right, drop us an email. Incredible atmosphere down here. Real party time at McLaren. I've not seen anything like this. Certainly not last season in Formula One. If you would like to get involved, we'd love to hear from you. f1@bbc.co.uk is our email address. We're live on the F1 Forum for as long as we want to be. We would love you guys to get involved as well. But first, let's have a look back at the highlights from a truly incredible 2010 Australian Grand Prix.
Bahrain didn't necessarily deliver. Is Melbourne going to get us back on the right track when the lights go out? They're out now, and Vettel's away gingerly, but ahead. Webber moves across, but Massa comes charging through up into 3rd place there. Alonso's going backwards as Button seems to come through on the outside. Could we come together as a spin there with that Alonso going round. Schumacher comes through as well, tapped a little bit there by Jensen Button. Lewis Hamilton's made a great move, but Alonso there facing the wrong way. Vettel's made a good start. Massa's into 2nd.
No, damaged front wing there for Michael Schumacher. Damaged front wing, and this could well mean a safety car as well. There's no way out of that gravel trap, especially when you're stationary for Sebastian Buemi.
Oh, and there's Nico Hülkenberg off as well.
So we've got a front wing off. Oh, and this is where the shunt happened.
We haven't seen that at all. Can we Kobayashi there? Oof.
So Kobayashi's front wing was off, not for the first time this weekend, and then you just in a toboggan, and he was heading straight to the scene of the accident. Unfortunately, Nico Hülkenberg got in the way.
So, Vettel leads from Massa, from Webber,
Kubica. Hamilton coming at the inside of Button. Button trying to defend him. Hamilton squeezes him out. Button now does not have track position through turn 4, and that move done. Hamilton's got it done, and up then into 6th place for Lewis Hamilton. Button looks like he's coming in.
That is Jensen Button
for a set of slicks. Brave. He's the first man to get brave. A tweak of front wing as well for the different tyres.
Gone for the soft option as well. Let's just have a look at the order then. Webber from Suttil, from Jensen Button. We'll be wondering whether that safety car will be out again because of Petrov going off. Hugely smooth Jensen Button. Mark Webber's in now, so lead changes once more.
So we need to rewind, unravel, and say well done, Jenson Button. It was the right move. It might have been a lap too early, but he's now well clear of Webber. And Webber, look, can he get in there ahead of? No, he's behind Rosberg as well.
Yep.
As we thought, it's a horrible situation for Webber, but he does at least get back in front of Massa, so that
So he's fifth
puts
place.
him at fifth. Yes.
Oh, one mistake there. That's Mark Webber, and he's lost out to Massa. So it's gone from bad to worse.
And he's got Barrichello right on his tail as well.
Alonso setting faster sector times first and second.
Kept
Here's
Mark
Webber
out.
trying Felipe Massa on the outside, now on the inside. Webber going for it, but Massa still holds it, and Webber now boldly coming through. Holds it on turn 1 and turn 2, and look at Hamilton's come past as well. Hamilton's followed in the wake there of Mark Webber, and having a look now at the Australian. They're wheel to wheel. Here comes Hamilton now, down towards turn 3. Webber will have the inside line. Hamilton going the outside, discarding just to hold it. Oh, Webber's gone off. Webber's off into the gravel. Through goes Massa. Through goes Lewis Hamilton, and it's going from bad to worse for Mark Webber.
He's going to hate himself when he sees that on video. Unnecessary there.
Turn 13. Oh, Massa got it wrong there, didn't he? And now Hamilton's really seizing his moment, coming round on the outside. Now down this pit straight. Can he find something? Hamilton waiting, and this looks good. Coming through on the inside for the corner. Has he got the line? He has, and now Massa is at prey to his teammate Fernando Alonso, unless he can strike back.
Right, Massa gave him a car's width and he took it. Now Lewis is going to have to stay to the inside. Don't give him the inside line back. And Alonso having a look too, but Massa really should not have allowed Hamilton through there.
Oh, then Webber comes through on the outside out of Alonso, lost just a little bit of time there. So Webber regains that position. So that's worked out. Well, Ferrari have come off worse there. Massa's lost a place, and so has Fernando Alonso. The crowd will have enjoyed that. Mark Webber clawing his way back up the field.
So boring, this Formula One. It's what I hate about it most.
That's Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel is out. Sebastian Vettel's in the gravel. They cheer in McLaren because Jenson Button is now leading. Sebastian Vettel has made a mistake, or has something gone wrong with the car. Either way, he's out. Here's the replay. Now, what happened there?
I think he snatched a rear brake and as he was coming down, but it all looked a bit unusual.
Pit braking failure, front left, that's it.
These are the issues you have to look. He's right on top of him. Alonso covers at the inside. Hamilton
This
goes
is going
around
to be
the
frustration.
outside.
Is he coming through?
Be amazed if he can get round there. Alonso's going to go.
Oh, no, Webber come through now. There's been a collision. It's Hamilton and Webber. And now, can either of them get back to the pits there? But I mean, their race is now finished in terms of picking up any points. And Rosberg suddenly on the tail of Fernando Alonso. Would you believe it? Lewis Hamilton did all the hard work, and it's all gone wrong for Hamilton, and it's all gone wrong for Mark Webber.
Yeah, it's Mark's fault. I'm afraid Hamilton had to release Alonso into the corner, and Webber just got in too hot.
It's the same corner where Sebastian Vettel had his brake problem. Oh, yes, that's not what he wanted. Andy Latham, race engineer to Lewis Hamilton.
The champion's drive from Jenson Button.
Steady as he goes through turns 11 and 12. He said on Friday afternoon that he was happy right from the first lap, and that is the key to success with Jenson Button. When he finds the groove, when he is happy, car and driver as one, man and machine, and he's just got 2 more corners to go, Jenson Button. John Travolta is there with a checkered flag, and Jenson Button comes round the final corner. All eyes were on Red Bull, but instead it's the world champion from 2009. Jenson Button makes it another Australian Grand Prix victory. His first for McLaren. And what a result for McLaren there. His second race for the team, and he's a winner. Through comes Robert Kubica for Renault. Great result for him. Felipe Massa ahead of his teammate Fernando Alonso.
Yeah! Oh, that feels so good!
Absolutely fantastic drive, Jenson, brilliant. This is just the start.
Guys, amazing job. I think we timed our pit stop pretty much perfect. A little bit slippery out there, but it was the right time. So, yeah, guys, fantastic job. Congratulations to everyone. This is a great way to start the year. Cheers.
He's getting used to this. different overalls, but same winning feeling in Melbourne for Jenson Button.
Okay, then let's confirm the result of the 2010 Australian Grand Prix. These are the 10 points finishers. Jenson Button picks up 25 points for winning the race today. A huge day as well for Robert Kubica, 18 points for him, and Felipe Massa. He finishes on the podium for the second consecutive race this season, just ahead of his teammate Fernando Alonso. Nico Rosberg once again beats the 7 times world champion Michael Schumacher, who spent most of his day having a little battle with the Toro Rossos. And if we have a look at the way that the Drivers' Championship looks now, Fernando Alonso is still out in the lead after a 4th place finish today and winning the first race. He's got 37 points, Felipe Massa with 33. Jenson Button's now moved right up to 3rd place, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton. And you can see that Mark Webber, who was hoping to have a really special weekend this weekend, is sitting 10th at the moment. And this is how it looks for the constructors. Ferrari, 70 points. They've still had a very good start to the season. They would have hoped for more today, but it wasn't to be. McLaren with 54, and then there's quite a big gap down there to Mercedes Grand Prix. Williams at the moment to round off the point scorers. Well, we've seen John Button trying on his nice orange T-shirt. He's not the only one. Martin Whitmarsh has got his on as well. Yours fits a little bit better. I like the fact that you've popped the champagne down, though. You're not going to drink that live on the BBC. Very restrained of you.
Absolutely. Well, I was told to.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? I mean, it was a very special weekend for everybody. You look quite emotional, actually, as the cars crossed the line.
I think for Jenson coming to the team, everyone during the winter had various views on whether it's a good thing for him, a good thing for this team, and I think he proved today, what a fantastic racing driver he is. We gave him the opportunity to call that stop. He called it. I think he called it right on, and thereafter he conserved his tyres, he drove smoothly, and was commanding.
Totally honest answer. At the time he called that stop, what were you thinking?
I was thinking it was a bit risky, actually, but we said to him, look, it's your call, you're out there, you make a decision. And I think often in those situations, you're better off. You know, you can have all the statisticians and computers you like, but the driver's out there, he's got to make that call. He made that call. I thought it was a bit early, but we said, OK, let's go for it. And it was bang on right. It was fantastic.
What is what part of Jenson, the racing driver, the man, impresses you the most? You say he's a really cool character, but his integration with the team, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the way he's integrated in the team, coming into McLaren, lots of people had views on that. Was it Lewis's team? I think he's just been so laid back. He's just, feet on the ground individual. He just came into the company, talked to people. He's told people what he likes, what he wants from the car. I hope and believe the team has responded to that. But he is sometimes disturbingly laid back, but actually he wants to win, and that coolness today paid off. I think it was just a fantastic result.
Martin, I'll go back the other way if you don't mind, and that is, to everyone's surprise, you signing Jenson was a major, well, it was an upset. Everyone thought you'd sign Kimi, or were about to sign Kimi. A lot of people thought that Button was not going to stay in the same team with Mercedes. And a little birdie tells me that you made the call coming back from Brazil. Tell me, because we would like to have that confirmed, please.
Well, no, I think the answer is, I was talking to Kimi. I think Kimi's a great racing driver, and we were having those discussions. I think I am massively impressed by what Jenson did in Brazil. Assertive overtaking. He was under a lot of pressure defending a world championship, and I know how difficult that is. I've seen lots of drivers struggle in those circumstances. And I just, on the way back from Brazil, I had the inkling that it was worth a punt, and we called him. I didn't think it was going to happen, but he knew what he was doing. He's come into the team. He knows what a fantastic challenge it is against someone like Lewis at McLaren, and he took it on. And I think today he proved a lot of people wrong who were doubting him and doubting our decision to sign him.
Martin, back to today. Where do you think you'd have been against Vettel? Obviously, if he didn't have his brake problems, do you think you had him covered or not?
No, I think we were going to be a lot closer. It's a story of the last race and this one is, they are a lot quicker than us in qualifying, and that's something we've got to work on. But race pace, I'd say we were very close. So I wouldn't say we had him covered, but I think we were definitely there, able to race with him, and I'd hope we were going to get by. I think the call that Jenson made would have got him in a good position to have beaten Sebastian without those problems.
OK, let's have a look at some of the action from the race, because it was enthralling from the first lap to the 58th. Let's start with the start, logically. And actually, Jenson Button had a bit of a coming together here. I suppose you were fearing the worst at this point, because he was right in the thick of the goings-on.
Yeah, no, I think we were worried, obviously. I think it was an Australian fellow again. And at that point, it looked fairly dire for us. But you know, he dropped back then I think to 7th or 8th position, lost momentum. But you know, it was going to be a busy race. I think he just kept a cool head, looked after the car, and thereafter made all the right calls.
You can obviously see the contact there in the run down to the first corner, but we didn't hear if he radioed in. Did he give you any information from that?
He told us that he'd been hit by an Australian gentleman, so in his view. So he gave us the information. We obviously looked immediately at the data. You look for punctures, you look for damage to the car, and I think, you know, fairly early on we decided no, the car's good to go, and he just kept driving.
It was your old man Alonso turned in on him, surely, didn't he? I mean, Jenson had the inside line. We'll have a look at it again now, hopefully.
Yeah, you mentioned, Martin, in the build-up that it was probably the mirror position makes it very difficult for them to see when a car's alongside.
Yeah. And he just turned straight in on Jenson, and that was where it all started to go horribly wrong.
Well, again, in fact, Jenson commented on the lack of or difficulty with the mirrors, and I think, you know, the drivers are now starting to say there's no way we can have mirrors that are that far outboard and really be able to use them.
A lot of wheel spin there for Jenson, but he's got the inside line. He's entitled to stay there, and Alonso just literally doesn't know he's there, does he? Can't see him in the mirrors.
It's not good if your drivers can't see who's around them, Martin. Obviously, something needs to change, because that's not the only incident we've seen with that kind of thing this weekend, is it, on track?
No, let's be honest. The mirrors are out there for performance. Because they're out there for performance, teams have claimed the drivers are happy with them, and drivers have said that they're happy with them. I think the drivers got together this weekend and said, actually, enough's enough now. We are struggling to see, and I think all of the drivers have come to the view that we've got to take a different decision on where the mirrors are placed.
Well, actually, it's the people watching the race are the people who are suffering, because people are going out of the race because they can't see what's behind, not being able to defend properly, and the people who are the ultimate loser are the fans.
Yeah, I think there's those would say that Fernando may have turned in even if he could have seen him anyway, but I'll take your point.
You said in the build-up to the weekend that there would be a sit-down in Malaysia between the team principals to decide on the, you know, do we need to do something to spice up the racing?
Are they still going to bother?
Surely after today, all you need is a bit of wet running.
Well, again, the reason we didn't have this, we're under a lot of pressure after Bahrain. The media got on the case of the team saying we had to meet, we had to do something. I think we wisely said, well, let's just have one more race and then we can sit down. I don't think we should be complacent. As you say, this race has been made by the circumstances and the weather, and it was fantastic, and I'm sure we're going to have some other fantastic races. You know, we started a season that had so much build-up with 4 world champions, and it didn't produce the result in the first race. Everyone jumped on that. I think we should now still consider how we can improve the show, because that's our role.
Yeah, because Lewis caught the Ferraris at 2 seconds a lap, and then when he got there could do absolutely nothing about it. So the fundamental problem is still there, isn't it?
It is, although interestingly early on in the race there was a fair amount of overtaking today, and but it is very, very difficult for any driver to catch anyone. You know, we now believe you've got about a 3-second performance differentiation to actually be sure that you can get by, and that's too much miles in Formula One.
A fair amount of that overtaking involved Lewis Hamilton. He finished today's race in 6th. There was a point where he would have wanted some more, and there was a point where you had both your cars dueling on track. It was an exciting day all round for Lewis, actually, wasn't it?
It was an exciting and disappointing day for Lewis, let's be frank. Lewis had a great day, but we made a decision as a team. We decided that we needed to change the tyres, and ultimately that's disadvantaged him. I think we could have had a 1-2, so you know, we are delighted to have won. It was a fantastic day for Jenson, and I think we're all very pleased with that. But inevitably you go away wishing that you had a 1-2.
We just saw there on board here, he actually touched the back of the Ferrari in the run down to the first corner. Was it part of his front wing that came off, or was it something else?
He damaged the front wing end plate. He lost about 10 points of downforce from that as well. So actually, you know, carrying on after that, and he was still very quick, you have to say. But
when he spoke to us after the race, he's not a happy bunny, is he? I mean, he says it's the drive of his life, and I have to say, I would agree with that. I thought it was a stunning drive. He won some amazing race in Fuji and Silverstone as well, but you've got some work to do there, haven't you, to keep him happy tonight?
Oh, well, I've already spoken to him. I think inevitably he is someone who wants to win. If he feels that, you know, if he's made a mistake, if the team's made a mistake. The time at which we took the decision, I personally believe it was the right call, but in hindsight, you can now see how the race played out. The Ferraris didn't stop. if Lewis had stayed out and his tyres had been intact, then he could have been second today. I think he would have got past Kubica. So, you know, if you want to take a negative spin on it, we could have had a 1-2. But I think overall, we can't be too disappointed. But inevitably, there's a tinge of disappointment when you don't get the 1-2.
We're looking at some of Lewis's nice overtakes. This is him having a little bit of a duel with Mark Webber there. Aris said he wants to know why Lewis Hamilton pitted when he did. The cars in front of Lewis hadn't come in. Were McLaren trying to be clever at that stage of the race with Lewis?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you're always trying to be clever, whether you achieve it. The fact is, at the time, he was losing time behind Kubica. We could see, and you could see graining on his rear left tyre. And at that time, Schumacher had come in, was going purple. Webber had come in and going purple. And the belief was that probably the option tyre wasn't going to go to the end. And those guys who had pitted were going over a second a lap quicker. So we believed it was the right call. Obviously, otherwise we wouldn't have done it.
Martin, I have to, for once, jump to your defence. As a team boss on the pit wall, you made absolutely the right decision. One small complaint: it should have been 3 laps or 4 laps earlier. That's the only slight little negative.
Well, it was Lewis actually.
Praise indeed, Eddie. Thank you very much.
It was Lewis who had a bit of a complaint as well. Let's have a listen to that.
Whose call was it to bring me in?
I can't hear it this time, of course, but I think I know the gist of it.
It's whose call was it to bring me in? Is that the kind of conversation that you want with Lewis when he's zipping around at 180 miles an hour? Could that maybe wait till after the race?
I think those sort of conversations can wait till after the race normally, but he's a passionate fellow. He likes to win and he likes to express himself on the radio. I think it makes good television, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, thank you for that. Yeah, it sounded a bit like fighting talk, didn't it? Give me the name, you know, line them up.
I want to see him when I get into the Parc Fermé.
Yeah. I bet you do.
And who did make the call?
Well, the team, but ultimately I'm team principal. So, as I said to Lewis, for all intents and purposes, I made the call because I could stop it, I can overrule it, I can cause it. We discussed it. As far as I was concerned, it was the right decision at the time. With hindsight, it wasn't, but we didn't have the play out of the race at that time. I think it was the right call.
Plenty of emails coming in asking about Lewis Hamilton and Mark Webber's coming together at the very end. This is a chance for you to have another look at it. Just talk us through this from your opinion, Martin. Mark Webber's fault entirely, would you say? You obviously weren't keen on the Australian a few moments ago. This time it probably was his involvement, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm probably slightly partisan on this one, but you can't see it from this shot. But certainly Lewis, who was closer to the action than I was, felt that was certainly not down to him.
And Lewis is now up with the stewards discussing this, is he?
No, we're not. I know that, in fairness, Mark has apologised for it, and I don't know if Lewis knows that yet, but he will do shortly. But you know, those things happen in motor racing. I mean, I think if we came out of every race with no driver being upset with another, then it would be pretty dull, wouldn't it?
It only cost him 1 place in the end because
Ultimately,
somehow, by some miracle, he got out of that gravel trap, didn't he? And only Rosberg went through.
A couple of other quick emails before we let you go. Jenson showed what a class act he is today, but with Lewis losing his cool during the race, as a team boss, how does this result change the relationships within McLaren? That's from Stephen Higgins in Birmingham.
Well, it doesn't. I think, you know, obviously I've known Lewis for a dozen years. He is a passionate racing driver. It's that passion that drives him on and makes him what he is. And, you know, I think if we go down there and try and beat that passion out of him, I think we won't have the Lewis Hamilton that we all know, love and respect. So, you know, it's, I think for Jenson, it was an important day, you know, to get the first McLaren win. You know, David knows how that is. How that feels, and it's just a relief to get that first one under your belt. It's a relief for the team as well. It's just a really good feeling for us.
David Mitchell wants to know if you think there's similarities between now and McLaren's golden years in the late 80s. 2 star drivers, one hot-headed, one cool, calm and collected. Could there be comparisons with Senna and Prost at McLaren between Button and Hamilton? I know you've got the helmets of both Senna and Prost upstairs around your offices. What do you think?
And they've been bounced around the office a few times, but no, I think you know. I mean, I've spoken to Lewis. He is a passionate individual. He understands entirely. He's very pleased for Jenson. You know, he'd like to be out there racing closer to Jenson at the end of the race, but that wasn't to be.
Okay. You had great straight line speed this weekend. Is that because of this duct going to the rear wing? Do you think it played a key role in the weekend?
I don't think you know, it is a feature on our car. It gives us a good straight line performance. So I don't think it was a massive feature. I think overall the car was quite well balanced. I think in qualifying we looked like we're about 20 points short of a Red Bull. which seems to be sat lower and better than us during qualifying. But
well, how do you mean sat lower? What are you referring to there exactly?
I'm not alluding to anything, but and again, it is possible that they have some sort of ride height control system, which if they have, that's very clever. We need to understand how it works within the regulations. But they've obviously been very creative. They're doing a fantastic job in terms of pace. I think they'll be disappointed again today. But we know that we've got to catch them up in terms of our qualifying performance in particular. I think we're closer in the race. We'll be working hard to do that.
Well, I think the chances of you sneaking into the back of the Red Bull garage to have a little look at that car wearing that particular top are probably quite limited. You're quite obvious everywhere you go wearing that, but I'm sure it feels great. Congratulations. Thanks for taking the time to chat, and back to winning ways. All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Martin. Thank you very much. So, big day indeed for McLaren. Mark Webber, though, he will be a very frustrated man indeed. It was quite an aggressive drive from him, wasn't it? We'll have a look with the guys at some of his big moments throughout the race. But first, let's hear from him. He's been talking to Lee Mackenzie.
Mark, a frustrating day for you, I'd imagine, in front of your home crowd. Just tell us about that last lap incident with Lewis.
Well, first of all, back to the start. I mean, I had quite a bit of wheel spin. I was very happy to get away with third place on the run in the first sector with just Felipe and Seb in front of me. And then we went to, after the restart, we then had a going well. I passed Felipe and just sort of waiting for some information how it would go on the grooves. Wanted the lap that Seb was on, obviously, but then he decided to pit as well on that lap. So snookered ourselves a little bit. I had to do an extra lap on the Intus, which certainly hurt me. And then also I couldn't get second gear once I was on the track out of the pit lane. So I was stuck in first, and then the other guys were on the track going past the 300, and I was, I don't know, it was really unusual. I need to have a look at it. And then we had a good fight. I mean, I wanted to go down fighting. It's very difficult to get the moves done on the inside because it was still a bit greasy. And obviously Lewis enjoys an incredible straight line speed, so it was very difficult to get the moves done on those guys. Then Lewis and I both caught Fernando. Was looking forward to the last part of the race, thought it would be a good fight. And we both got a run on Fernando. I apologise to Lewis. I was looking to get also the run coming back out, but when I got that close, the front wing just basically did not work. I could not get the car stopped, lifted up, and I just locked up. Tried to get more on the inside, but to make it sort of wheel to wheel, but in the end, obviously, I hit him with the front wing and the rear tyre, so it's car racing.
Disappointing end to the day, but 120,000 people packed in here, mostly to support you. I mean, it's been a great atmosphere all weekend.
Well, I went down fighting. I mean, it was... In the end, when you are a little bit on the back foot, as we were, for in different reasons, like I say, the first stop and things like that, I think it was best to throw caution to the wind and get into it. And I was thinking of the Bahrain for the people at home, maybe we should do something different. So in the end, I didn't want it to finish like that, but hopefully it was a bit more enjoyable.
Well, he was frustrated after Bahrain. He looks equally frustrated now. A difficult home Grand Prix for Mark Webber, Eddie.
Well, a bit of a shocker, really. Looking so promising in qualifying. And really, Mark has to look carefully at this because he has, over the years, made this kind of mistake too often. And I don't want to be nitpicking or criticising his driving. He is an outstanding person and a massive Australian, but he does make this mistake too often.
I think he wasn't actually trying to get involved in this. He was so far back. I think, as he's explained, he just got caught out with how early those guys had to brake. Bear in mind as well that as we've had a sort of changeable track condition, that inside line would have been quite dusty and dirty, and he's just gone barreling straight in. So I think he was probably hoping that he could get the run on them leaving that corner. What do you think, Martin?
It's a lack of judgment, I think. I mean, Mark Webber's a very aggressive driver, and we like to see that, and it pays dividends sometimes. We've seen him wheel to wheel, and he doesn't back off, but he is a touch too impetuous. As you say, Eddie, I mean, there's been too many of these incidents over the years, and I think he just needs a couple of clicks back on his aggression level, because I think he'll get better results.
This is the moment again in slow motion, and while we're watching this, we've had lots of emails coming in asking, should Mark Webber start the Malaysian Grand Prix with a penalty for causing the crash with Hamilton? As Martin Whitmarsh has told us, he said sorry to Lewis Hamilton for this. What do you think, David?
I don't think so. I think that this is a racing incident. He didn't approach that braking zone looking to make the manoeuvre. I think he sort of realised once he hit the brakes, because it's a very late, you can brake about 80 metres into that corner, so incredibly late when you get on the brakes. It's a third gear corner. I think he just hit the brakes, and was on the limit, and then he was trying to bail out of it. And as he said in the commentary there, he was trying to get wheel to wheel when he made the impact, but he actually went rear wing to rear tyre.
I think that clearly it's a lack of judgment there, because those two cars were going to be slow on the apex, weren't they? When they were side by side, Alonso had the inside line, so Mark didn't leave enough as that was all unfolding. But if he's penalised for that, then it sets a dangerous precedent, I think, for all sorts of other incidents.
Motor racing is about it. It is a contact sport. Not as often as we would like in some respects, but nevertheless, this is a racing incident. Mark Webber, he's hurt. You saw him. His body language is telling himself, God, what have I just done? I had some really good points to pick up today, and I walk away with zilch.
I think he should have let, when he made contact with Hamilton earlier on and went through the gravel, which put him back there in the first place, he should have let that one go. You know, when you've lost the corner, you've lost the corner. You've got to accept that and do something about it and come back underneath or whatever, rather than having a do-or-die effort and a contact.
OK, well, let's take a look at the start of the race from Fernando Alonso's perspective. And if he's not overly happy with finishing the race in 4th place, you've got to be quite happy after a start like this, David. You end up pointing the wrong way and you still bring home almost snatching a podium.
Yeah, at this point he's already disappointed because he's lost some places in the run down to the corner, and then the last thing you want to feel, you know, you're sensing when you go into the first corner is another car there, and in this case clearly there was. You know, is it the fact that Jenson was just in the blind spot that we mentioned on the grid walk beforehand, but very lucky that no one piled into him as the rest of the cars came round the corner.
Yeah. The safety car, the two Virgin Races coming out of the pit lanes.
How frustrating is that moment when you're a racing driver and you, come on, get past me, I want to get going again, and suddenly there's just traffic keeps on coming, you just can't get going.
I think he'd be happy that the engine was still running and the anti-stall kicked in. He gave it a boot full of throttle as well, didn't he, to make sure he was still in the race, and he salvaged the 4th place.
Absolutely, and Lee Mackenzie, as ever, has been doing a sterling job. She's been talking to Fernando Alonso. This is what he had to say.
Fernando, a pretty eventful race out there. What was it like from where you were sitting?
It was very exciting. I think now maybe we don't talk about the boring races anymore for 1 week at least. For me it was interesting after the incident at the start. Obviously I was at the back of the grid, but we managed to recover some good positions, and then for the title rivals, Red Bulls, etc., to be in front of them is a super result today.
Number of emails coming in as well about Ferrari. I'll read this one out here. This is from Mark Brown in Middlesbrough. Thanks very much, Mark. f1@bbc.co.uk if you want to get involved. We are live. Should Ferrari have let Alonso past Massa? He was clearly hampering him. Massa was struggling behind Kubica. It was a big move for Ferrari to allow those two to carry on racing. Eddie, what would you have done in that situation?
Well, we know clearly what the rules are and that you're not allowed to interfere, but nevertheless there are all types and ways of covertly getting that message across to the driver. However, there has been bad blood between these two drivers before, and if I was Massa, I would have stood my ground, which is what he did. He finished on the podium and Alonso didn't, and who's to say he was wrong? I have to believe that Alonso may have been quick, but we saw how difficult it is to pass. Alonso found that out.
What kind of a position, though, does it leave Felipe Massa in if in the second race of sharing his career with Fernando Alonso he allows the guy past him?
Yeah, but you know, what goes around comes around. It's a team game as well. And quite clearly, his car was horrible. He was oversteering everywhere, couldn't get the power on. Of course, Felipe will say, I'm not going to let him pass. He finished on the podium, as you rightly say. And the team, I think, should have forced it to happen, because I think they would have finished second with Fernando Alonso.
David?
Yeah, it's such a tough call. I've been there where, you know, I've been asked to move over, and you know, you accept the instructions that the team give to you. But I think it's a brave decision from Stefano to allow the drivers this early in the season just to race, and actually probably a wise decision, because with changeable conditions he couldn't know what was going to happen later in the race, and maybe in these sorts of situations his default position is just to let them get on with it.
Okay, well, Ted Kravitz has been speaking to Ferrari's Chris Dye. This is what Chris had to say.
Well, Chris, that's good, solid points. Tell us, what was the discussions and the thinking about changing tyres or not changing tyres?
I mean, for us, it wasn't an option. We looked at when the other guys stopped. We looked at the pace, and we thought, no. If we stay out, we can be fighting for the podium. We felt that if we stopped, we probably would have been behind Lewis and Mark. and by staying out we knew at least we could be in front of them defending, and there was a chance. So we knew we were gambling with 2 positions, but we thought it was worth the gamble to have a shot at the podium.
It certainly worked. Ever any chance of getting past Kubica?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Probably Felipe's pace wasn't 100% today, so you know, he was missing a little bit, and that just wasn't quite enough to have a go.
In that case, you weren't tempted to allow Fernando through so he could have a go at Kubica?
I'm sure some people would have liked to do that, but you know, the racing's racing at the moment. We don't do that anymore, so the guys have to fight it out on the track.
I mean, they're driving for the team, and it might have served the team's best interest if you allow the faster guy to have a go.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's the decision is with the guys on the track. We can't, you know, they know the position, they know the race position. It's up to them to manage it as they see fit.
Good, some good points today. Thanks very much.
Well, that's Ferrari's chief race engineer. Ferrari will be happy. They stopped development very, very early on the F60. This F10 car looks good.
Yeah, it does, and certainly, particularly in Alonso's hands. And but Massa's the man who's had the 2 podiums, and they're looking strong as a combination, aren't they? There's no doubt about it. While Red Bull are looking so fragile, and McLaren and Mercedes a little bit up and down on raw pace.
Okay, well, Jenson Button's dancing around behind you. He's come back to celebrate with his dad and Jessica, no doubt. Hopefully we'll try and grab him. But you mentioned the fragility of the Red Bulls there. Gaz in Scotland. Good morning, Gaz. Thanks for getting up so early. Thanks for staying up. He says, what are Red Bull playing at? Why can't they give Sebastian Vettel a reliable car? Now, which of the 3 of you shall I go to with this question? What do you think, DC? What's the problem?
Well, the disc apparently failed, and obviously that's a part that's bought in. None of the teams here manufacture the brake discs. And you know, it doesn't. We're joining a main car here, and it doesn't really show us, if I recall, a great deal. He just sort of
he did complain about some vibration,
off.
Didn't he, on the team radio just before
this?
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we can't tell that obviously from looking in here, but you can see he starts to have a little bit of a wobble, and then that front wheel locks up, and off he goes. So, you know, we'll find out in time exactly what type of brake failure it is, but you know, the carbon brakes are many layers of carbon fiber, so the top layer can be absolutely fine, and as it wears and you get into the next layer and the next layer, suddenly you can just get to one of the layers which is for whatever reason contaminated, fragile, and you see this. We saw it with Mark Webber in Singapore last year, and unfortunately we've seen it again here with Sebastian.
Well, he must be on some kind of happy pill, because he's slapping the team on the back on the pit wall. But he's had 2 brilliant pole positions, should have won both races, and the car's let him down, and they've got to sort it.
Okay, let's hear from Sebastian. This is what he had to say to Lee after he crashed out of the race.
Sebastian, we heard you talking about brake failure on the radio. Was that the case?
Yes. Yeah. A lap or a bit earlier, I felt already that something is wrong. I had some sparks coming up from the front left wheel. We didn't know what it was. We wanted to pit in that lap. Couple of corners before, I had huge vibrations building up, and approaching turn 13, all easy and cautious. It didn't help, and as soon as I touched the brakes, the brake disc exploded. It felt like, and then you don't have deceleration for 20-30 meters, and you find yourself in the gravel bed. So
2 victories that were within your reach. 2 victories that were within your reach, and 2 that have been ruined by reliability issues. Do you worry that this might ruin your chances for the championship?
Well, it's still early, you know, but for sure it would be better at this stage after today to be there with 50 points and go with 50 points to Malaysia instead of only 12. But you know, that's life. We can't change it now. It happened. As you can hear, the cars are still going around, so it's a pity. For sure, if we continue like that, we won't. Have good cards in hand for the last half of the season, but you know, it's still early, as you said, so a lot of races left.
Okay, let's hear from Sebastian's boss, team principal Christian Horner.
Well, Christian, what do you know? Brake failure, something you had one in Bahrain, didn't you? But what do you know about what caused it?
Until we get the car back, it's impossible to say. It looks like something's failed on the what looks like the right front, so you know, not Sebastian's fault at all. So you know, again, second race in a row we've been commanding lead. Desperately frustrating not to have converted this race today, because he was, faultless. With Mark, obviously got tangled up with Lewis at that point. There was nothing to lose by taking on another set of tyres and having another go, and unfortunately found, they got together once again this weekend.
I think reliability is just the one little piece in the puzzle missing for you. I mean, you lost last year's championship through unreliability.
That was engine reliability rather than anything else, though. So I think this is an issue that we need to understand, and we'll get the car back. We've got the next race is a week away. It's a race that should suit our car. We have both cars on the front row of the grid. We're in a commanding position. It's a long way to go in the championship, but we need to start winning races.
Thanks, Christian.
Well, any racing driver is going to be frustrated when he crashes out of a race. But the real frustration will be when Sebastian looks at that piece of paper that tells him 12 points from a potential 50. You're saying he's still the man for the title for you, though?
It's a very brave man who will bet against him for the title. The car is supreme. There's a few niggly little problems. All extremely fast cars are fragile. I still think he's the favourite for the championship. He's a class act, and he's just a joy to watch. We saw that with the qualifying lap yesterday. Very special driver. I still think he can win this championship.
I think it's a good point. You'd rather have a fast car that's a bit fragile and work on reliability than a reliable car which just isn't quick enough. So, I think that's probably why Sebastian's not looking too sad so far.
The danger, I suppose, for Red Bull, I apologise if you saw some break up there on the pictures. It's all sorts of radio frequencies and things here in the paddock. The problem is, once again, like last year, Martin, race-winning car, championship-winning car, got to finish races. They've got to get the reliability sorted out. How do you go about within a team sorting out a lack of reliability? Because it's always different areas of the car that have got the problems. Is it a fundamental management issue?
Well, it's very complicated, especially when it's only one car that's failing. And we're out in the field now because Malaysia's next weekend, and the cars then go straight on to China. And that's very difficult when the team are not based in Europe and able to go testing, of course, or develop the cars. So they've got to somehow sort that problem out on the hoof as they pack this lot up now and head off towards Kuala Lumpur.
OK. Matthew Benbrook says Adrian Newey looks once again like he may have designed a car that's fast but fragile. Looks like that at the moment. It's certainly fast. At the moment, it's fragile. I'm sure Red Bull will be working.
We've got to say, he didn't design the brakes.
No, fair enough. I suppose it's always the way that if you're the car's designer, you're the one that gets lumbered with any issue that it has.
Well, again, like the engine last year.
Yeah, but David, it could be the cooling to the brakes. It can be anything. Until we know, it's very difficult to make the call.
Yeah, of course. Nick Worth is another man who's involved in designing a car for Formula One this year. He's designed the Virgin car, and I imagine when he was sitting there in his office at Worth Research, coming up with his plans for that car, he didn't envisage that his drivers would be dicing with Michael Schumacher during a race. And there was a lovely moment, actually. We were watching in one of the motorhomes, and the roar that went up when Lucas Di Grassi came back at Michael Schumacher was one of the moments of the last few years, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think if you go back a long way, I think it was like 1990 in Phoenix, we had Ayrton Senna put it down the inside of Jean Alesi, and he immediately came back at him when he was running a lap down. And this is exactly what we've seen here with Lucas Di Grassi. He's like, well, you may be quicker, you may be a 7-time world champion, but there's an opportunity, I'm coming back.
That just about summed up Schumi's afternoon, though, didn't it? Basically, it's an awful race for him.
You talk about it.
And those moments, people get completely, your reputation is built on moments like that. There's no doubt about it.
And talking about building your reputation, Jenson Button's arrived to join us. Jenson, just pop in here so that we're able to hear you.
Thank you.
So the first time that you're wearing the McLaren Rocket Red, it looks good. How does it feel?
It feels pretty special because I know exactly what it means. So, yeah, today was a very special day for me. Last year was an exceptional year for me, but to move teams and to be here winning, it means a lot.
We saw McLaren win races last year. We saw you win races last year. The atmosphere here at the McLaren paddock with all the guys wearing their orange, it is quite incredible, isn't it? It feels like more than just another race win, doesn't it?
I think because of the conditions as well. It was a very tricky race. At the moment, in qualifying, you can say we don't have the quickest car, and I don't know about the race trim yet, but so to get this win here really means a lot, and we need to enjoy this moment. And I think, we've been hungry for this so much over the winter. This is a real taster, and it's going to push us on even more to improve, and it's exactly what we needed at this point of the season.
What was very interesting is the contrast. You've been looking so calm and relaxed at the beginning of this season, and the contrast in this race where Lewis was radioing in saying who made the decision on coming in for tyres, and you know, there's two different mentalities at the moment. Have you had a chance to talk to Lewis? Has he congratulated you on your victory?
Yeah, he was one of the first guys after my press conference to come and congratulate me, which was lovely. Lewis, you know, it was a tough race for Lewis. He had you know, I don't know what happened with the pit stop. I don't know the reason for the pit stop, but he had very, very good pace. I think he was pushing very, very hard. I don't know. We don't know what would have happened to the tyres in the end, but I had in my mind the idea that I had, you know, the idea and the, you know, of driving the car to a limit, which was not 100%, because we had to do 50 laps with the tyres, and it worked out for me in the end. So Lewis is disappointed, I'm sure, and I'm sure the whole team are, because we could have had a better result as a team today. But the most important thing for me is that I won the race, and I'm going to go and enjoy myself this evening.
Well, they're giving you a lot of praise for making that decision to come in. I said at the time I thought you just came in too early, because obviously you came in and went straight off. But, oh, fair play to you. It was an inspired decision, and I think you made a big impression on the team.
Well, the thing was for me, I did not have a balance on the Inter. I did not. I had so much oversteer, and the rear tyres were destroying themselves after 4 or 5 laps. So if the rears are destroying themselves that quickly, you've got to take a punt. And as soon as I drove to the pit lane, you see how wet it is. Yeah. I thought I'd make the wrong decision. But when I drove out to the circuit, I felt pretty good about it, and made a mistake at turn 3. But I could get into a rhythm pretty quickly. When everyone else pitted, they were cold. I knew where to brake. I could just pick them off.
You said you thought it was a catastrophic decision. we certainly thought it was too early. But did you have to talk to yourself as you're bouncing through the gravel, like, come on, get on with it?
Yeah, a little bit. But you know, it was my decision, and I made it there and then. I had great information from the team. You know, we always do. But,
was it triggered because, you know, Lewis had just passed you on the previous lap? Did you think, look, I've got nothing to lose now, I might as well go early?
Well, you never like getting overtaken by your teammate, but that was not the main reason. You know, for me, I was going to keep going backwards. I didn't have rear grip. I don't know if I'd destroyed the tyres already on lap 1 and 2 of the race, or I didn't know if there was something wrong with the car. So for me to come in and put the tyres on was a no-brainer, really. Yeah. And those conditions I enjoy. I think, you know, finding the grip out there, that's one thing that I feel good. I feel very at home.
Jenson, I didn't actually think that it was the wrong decision. I just said nothing, but I actually, deep down, I do believe it was the wrong decision. What I wanted to say is, I saw you as world champion make a speech on Friday night, and I promise you it was one of the finest speeches I've ever seen of a person who has the responsibility of the sport. And as a world champion, you went up in mine and every other person's imagination that particular night. You are supreme, and well done for that.
Thank you very much. One last thing, I don't know if you lot have congratulated DC on his birthday yesterday.
I'm afraid he forgets anything over 25. He's forgotten.
It was DC's birthday yesterday.
Yeah, he hasn't revealed how old he was. We're all just speculating and guessing, judging by the grey hairs. This is a nice email we've had in on the F1 forum, Jenson. 11-year-old James Burgess has said he's so glad his dad sent him to bed early so he could get up and watch the race. Jenson, please keep it up. And then he's a good little journalist. He's got a question for you. Is this the start of your title defence? That's from 11-year-old James.
Well, I don't know what to say to that, except yes, I suppose. It's an interesting victory because we really have to enjoy this one. Because I think when we get to Malaysia, we're going to be competitive, but we're not going to win. It's going to be very difficult to win the race by 20 seconds, like we did here, unless we have tricky conditions. And I think we can make the difference up then. But this, I think, it's a real taster for things to come, because I think everyone's working so hard. I know everyone's working so hard on the car, on improving the car. There is still some areas that we need to improve in, but with what we have here, I think we've got the best out of it.
And how important is this for your confidence in your frame of mind? Because, as you know full well, a fair few people decided to question the decision to go to McLaren, and here we stand at the second race. You're wearing the orange top, you're a race winner. You seem, I mean, we had a little tour around the technology centre together. You've settled in well.
Yeah, I have, and the team itself have been great. And, you know, I got to grips with being in a new environment pretty quickly, and that's a lot of it is down to the team, I must say. Getting to grips with the car, it's different. You know, it's a different feeling, and there's always things that you want changed. But the great thing is they have the resources to do that. And when I've asked for something different, they've been able to give it to me. It takes time, and I understand that, but I'm getting there.
How would you rate the victory today against your other victories last year, for example?
This victory for me feels a little bit more like Hungary than in 2006 and the victories last year. I come here with a lot more. I've achieved a lot more coming here than I had done in 2006. But it was about reading the conditions, and something I did in 2006, something I've done now. Last year we had a very competitive car and pretty much equal to anyone out there, whereas at the moment we don't. So we're going to keep working on that. And the good thing is that we've scored a victory already now at this point of the season where it counts. It's important to get them in now, and now we just got to keep improving with what we have, and hopefully catch those Ferraris and Red Bulls.
And look at this. Let's reenact the moment live here on the F1 forum. Congrats. It's quite heavy.
Is it? Are you right there?
It's quite heavy with only one hand. No, I mean, that's beautiful. There we go.
It is.
2010.
This one's pretty flash. It's got a carbon rear.
By the way, Jenson, the crowd were not booing you. They were booing the victory.
I know. I was on the podium ready for my trophy and award, and I heard this big boo, and I was like, oh, really?
It was the politician, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that. But it was a great race, and yeah, something that I'm going to enjoy very much tonight. But keep level-headed, straightforward, because we're racing next weekend.
Should we bring someone else in who you're probably going to be enjoying later tonight?
No, I don't think that's a good idea. She's had a couple of sherbets already.
Okay. I tell you what, let's do you a decent swap. I'll give you back the replica Brabham steering wheel, and we'll take that microphone from you, because you've got plenty of people to celebrate with and all sorts of things. And are you going to have a few days in the sun before Malaysia?
Yeah, a couple of days. But I think most importantly, this was a great Grand Prix for Formula One, and you know, this is what we love about racing, these fights. And it's not just because I won the race. So, you know, I was watching it on TV. On a lot of the race, on the action, and there was a lot of action here. So we've got to hope that Malaysia's like this, and yeah, this is where we should be.
Well played. I'm sure he enjoyed the kiss. Thank you very much, Jenson. Lovely to see you once again. Well played. And he is an incredibly relaxed guy. And it's hard to kind of explain to people at home, Martin, just how special the atmosphere is here. It doesn't just feel like he's won a Grand. It's almost like feels like he's won the title, doesn't it?
I think what he was saying there is, look, you know, I won this race. I didn't do this with the double diffuser and the best car on the grid. I went out and won this race like I did in 2006. And I think that's what he's saying. This is a very special victory to him.
OK, well, from a one-times Formula 1 world champion to a man who's won the title 7 times, Michael Schumacher had a really tricky weekend this weekend. Not the greatest of career races for him. Once again, Nico Rosberg ahead of him in qualifying and in the race, David.
Yeah, he's fairly tentative there down into turn 1, and then obviously gets caught up in the action when we have the Ferrari coming together, goes off the track, and then obviously loses a few positions. But what I think is more remarkable is how much of the race, as we get jockeyed for position here for the photographer trying to get a picture of Jenson. But you know, late in the race, he was just stuck behind the Toro Rosso for lap after lap. You can see, I think this is obviously trying to get some heat in those tyres, weaving around there. But yeah, Michael always just to be strong in the wet, and didn't appear to happen today.
OK, well, let's hear from Michael. He's been speaking to Lee McKenzie.
Michael, was it an enjoyable day's racing or a frustrating day looking at a Toro Rosso diffuser?
It was good fun, obviously, towards the end. It was a little bit hard on me initially because I thought I've done a good start and was in a good position. Thought it's going to work out well for us, and then got hit off.
And still enjoying it all? You look as if you were enjoying it a bit more than Bahrain.
Yeah, I think for the fans it was a great race after a little bit of criticism, quite rightly, for the first race, but here and today I think we made it up.
Well, we can now get the thoughts of Norbert Haug in just a moment. In fact, here is Norbert with us right now. Norbert, we were just hearing Michael Schumacher talk about today's race. He spent most of that race battling against the Toro Rosso of Jaime Alguersuari. Is that genuinely where his pace was today? Was there an issue with him, an issue with the car?
No, not at all. He posted 4 fastest race lap. Yeah, great job from McLaren.
How does it feel hearing them cheer like that behind us?
That's good. This is also a Mercedes win, so this feels good. Great job. Now, Michael was much faster than when he was in free air, but it's just very difficult to overtake.
I think there was quite a lot of damage to Michael's car. We saw him change the nose, but Ross was telling me there were quite a lot more pieces damaged as well, which would have hampered his pace, presumably.
Absolutely. I mean, Nico posted for the 2nd fastest race lap, and I have no doubt that Michael could have done the same. So that was okay, but, you know, it was a little bit of a gamble. Jenson got it right, but I think we showed that we can have the speed to be on a podium, at least on this racetrack.
It's almost positions in reverse. Last year you were here at McLaren, now you've got your own fantastic team where they were Brawn and won the championship, and of course you're still able to win the race with your engine, so there's obviously good positives about that.
No, it's really good and it feels good, and I'm happy for these guys, and you know, this is our partner team and they did a great job. Definitely it's victory number 69 since 97. The first one was here and this guy achieved it, and I always will think about and remember this victory. And David, you very well know how special that was in 97, and since then we have won 69 times. I think that's quite impressive.
Yeah, indeed, it's a great place to win a Grand Prix, that's for sure. You must be very proud to be adding to those victories. Obviously, a lot of talk after Bahrain about the show being a bit boring. I think we've all seen here, all we need is a little bit of rain and we have a great afternoon's entertainment.
The different strategies and so on. And I think Formula One always gives a good answer, not each and every race, but it happened very often in the past. They say, now it's finished, most boring race, then it swaps around, and I think this was one of the best races ever.
Norbert, just thinking about the money aspect of things, would it not be easier and a lot less costly to have sprinkler systems at the circuits rather than having all these aerodynamic rule changes?
No, I think we need to think about it. Oh, yeah, Eddie, you and I can do that as
the
a surprise.
fans could phone in and vote for which sprinklers get turned on.
Text the minute in the race that you would have seen some
Out of a
sprinklers.
computer, absolutely.
Of course, Michael Schumacher in his day would have loved sprinklers during the race. That's when he thrived.
Absolutely.
2 races in now to Michael's return. How do you rate the last 2 races from him?
Very good. I mean, I think, you know, to get the car back on the racetrack, he was hit, he was a victim. But I think he did what was possible today. Then we gambled with the tires, an additional stop, just to be aggressive, because you cannot gain, you cannot lose, and he finished 10th. And that was it at the end. But I think he's very competitive. And I think if you saw the television pictures in practice, in qualifying, he's committed, he's going for it. And Nico, it is not a positive surprise for me, but I think for lots of people, Nico is a positive surprise. He matured a lot in these 2 races. We scored 4 times points in 4 races, in 4 starts. So he's heading in the right direction.
I'm one of Nico's biggest fans in the last few years, but he shouldn't be letting Lewis Hamilton drive around the outside of him into turn 12.
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, Martin, he was handicapped with the tires at that stage. Various cars had graining in various laps, and then they recovered. When he came back, he closed the gap to Lewis again and attacked him. So, I mean, you know, he was with his back to the wall at that stage, but came back, and I think that is great. And when he had new tires, he really pushed and did a faster race lap even than Lewis. And Lewis, for me, was kind of the man of a race because he attacked and he gave a good answer on the racetrack on all these issues that have happened. You know, the poor guy, he is never a guy who would be aggressive on the street, I know that, but he's aggressive on the racetrack. And I think, yeah, McLaren Mercedes did a fantastic job today and entertained the people, and we were part of it as well.
It just looked like the McLaren had a bit more of a slippery car than the Mercedes. You know, they looked like, is that down to that the wing device that they run, or were you running more downforce?
This is guessing. I think we have quite a good downforce level, less top speed, but all in all, I think we did a good job. We could have stayed out, and probably we finished on the podium. But I'm happy when we are 5th, and everybody says they could have been 1st. That's much better for me than inheriting a victory and said, well, they were too slow. So it's going in the right direction.
Norbert, 2 big surprises for most people, particularly journalists, etc. Rosberg doing such a great job against Schumacher, and nobody really gave Button a chance to do what he did today against Hamilton. So this is what makes our business and our sport so exciting.
There are surprises in Formula One, so really watch it. I mean, it's worthwhile. And our engine, you know, I have to say thank you to the guys in Brixworth, the HP guys. They work so hard, supplying 3 teams. That's not easy. And a victory is the best reward you can get, and that was a victory for Mercedes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, particularly getting kind of close to the celebrations. And yes, it was a Mercedes engine. I'm sure you enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Finally, this is an interactive forum. Tony says, have Mercedes got a car that can win races with Michael Schumacher?
Pardon me, a car?
Have you designed a car good enough to win races this season with Michael Schumacher?
I would think so. We need a couple of more steps, but this was a race that could have been won fair and square. We did not, but I think we saw that we were amongst the best ones from our performance. This will not be the case in Malaysia, I'm afraid, because it will be hot there. Maybe we can surprise, but 3, 4, 5 more races and we should be there.
Okay, Norbert, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Now, congratulations indeed to Felipe Massa. A very big accident last year. He returns to Formula One this season. 2 races, 2 podiums. Let's hear from him after today.
Congratulations, Felipe. A great podium and a great start.
Yeah, the start was just fantastic. So I was really happy with my start. And then I lost a little bit of place in the pit stop, so I lost a lot of time. And but then I also made a couple of mistakes on the track, which I lost position. But then the team did a fantastic job, not to ask me to stop. So that was really fantastic for the race result at the end. I think 1 second, 1 third is just really, really good for the beginning of the season.
And it was a great race from you, but your car was fantastic. But sometimes it looked as if it had just a bit of a lack of grip in stages. Was that from the tyres, or what was the issue?
Yeah, I was a bit on trouble, having problems on the tyres for some laps. But then when the tyres start to be a bit used, improve the grip. So I think that's really important to understand for the next tracks. But also, I think it was a great result for the team, 3rd and 4. Bringing more points home than maybe other teams. I think that's very positive.
And personally for you, this is one of your best starts to a season.
Yeah, so I hope.
Oh, I think we'd had enough of Felipe at that point, hadn't we? Another fantastic drive from him. Will he go to bed tonight thinking, what are the team going to really think of me? Not allowing Alonso through. Or will he go to bed sleeping soundly thinking, do you know what, I'm a racing driver, I hold my line, and I did the right thing for me today?
Yeah, I think that if we think back to a couple of weeks ago in Bahrain, he got, to use a Martin expression, he got mugged at turn 2, and he'll be very much in his mind that he gave away that position to Alonso, and he could have been probably a little bit more aggressive. So I think today what he's done is sent a message to someone that he has to beat if he's going to compete for this championship, that he may not have been in a perfect car and feeling comfortable, but he's not going to give up his grid position.
I think exactly right. Massa, we saw how difficult it was for Hamilton to try and pass Alonso. It would have been equally as difficult for Alonso to try and pass Massa. He was absolutely right to defend his position, and good luck to the kid. He's had 2 podiums, particularly after the shunt that he had last year. I'm overjoyed for him.
Now we've got an email from Greg. He's emailed in to remind us that there are many Polish viewers watching this in the UK. What about Robert Kubica's performance for Renault? Can he build on his 2nd place? Well, we absolutely hadn't forgotten about him, Greg. He's put in an absolutely fantastic race today, and we can hear from him now with Lee.
Robert, did you expect to be back in the podium quite so soon?
Well, I was hoping, but to be honest, not really. I mean, but to be honest, I think in February, after first Jerez test, I wrote a message to my friend. If you want to put some €100, put on a podium in Australia. And actually Friday he wrote me after first 3 practices where we were very, very competitive. He told me, I should listen to you, but I didn't bet on you. And I say, yeah, don't bet it, we will not make it podium. And we managed. So, of course, it was a crazy race, but, it was good, very good fun. And, of course, when you finish 2nd, it's always good. And Australia was very unlucky for me in past years. Very competitive, always here, but never finish. So this podium is something what Australia was owning me for the past.
So you might not be very good at betting, but you are very good at starts. That was impressive.
Yeah, start was itself was very good. I took very cautious first corner. I saw Jenson being very close with Fernando, so somehow I was hoping there will be some touch, but I was also hoping to survive it. So I brake very early. I took it easy. Actually, I have no choice. I have to go to the right, so I just went over the curb and managed to overtake both of them. And yeah, first lap was very tricky. The balance of the car was very, very difficult. But then afterwards, it paid off. Early pit stop. It was not easy to block Jenson because he knew already the condition. He was already, his tires I think was already warmed up pretty well. So for me it was first lap going through with the slicks on the damp track. So it's not easy, and he got by me. But yeah, anyway, good race.
Well done.
Good race, well done indeed. Raised a few eyebrows actually when Robert signed for Renault. At the time they were a team that people didn't... Spotted someone you knew there?
Nicky Lauda's just doing it. You're still earning money.
Waving at me. Of course you're still earning money. Maybe not as much as Nicky Lauda
is. Master, isn't he, of making money?
He's got more of it than I have.
Talking about Kubica, it did raise a few eyebrows. At the time, Renault, no one was really certain whether Renault would be on the grid this year. It was a big name announcement, and it looks like a really good decision from that team, who've produced a nice car as well.
Oh, Kubica's a world-class driver who would be on the shopping list of any Formula One team. I mean, he's right up there.
Yeah, I think for him, though, he didn't really have a great deal of choice. The point at which BMW announced they were pulling out of Formula One, sorry, I'm getting attacked by the Aussie flies, then he didn't have many teams to choose from, and Renault was his best option. You know, make no bones about it, he knows there's work to be done there. This is a great result for him. He's a great driver, but there's a lot of development needed from that car.
Let's not forget that we very nearly lost Renault in Formula One, and by all sorts of dealings within deals, there's new owners, new partners and stuff, and many congratulations to them, because I think we need Renault on the grid, and they've stuck by Kubica, and Kobayashi, well, he's taking his time, but I'm sure he'll be as strong, but Kobayashi is the top man.
Well, speaking of Kobayashi, a big moment for him today. Everybody said when he got that permanent job from Sauber that he would bring a few fireworks with him, and actually today was a pretty nasty incident. You were making the point in commentary, Martin, to lose your front wing underneath your car is a really nasty thing to happen.
Yeah, it's the third scariest thing I know about. I mean, Kobayashi's unlucky. We don't know if he tagged a curb again or somebody, or whether this is a major issue on the Sauber. Hulkenberg well, both of them there too.
Buemi there.
Buemi, lucky that he sort of arrowed between the pair of them, and that's a scary accident.
The last time I saw something like that was actually in Austria.
Sato.
With Sato, that's right. It was Nick Heidfeld.
Yeah.
Cold brakes at a restart, went down, and he hit the side. It was actually a Jordan car, and I think it split
I
the
remember
chassis,
only too well.
There's a lot of crash protection now beside the drivers, of course, and
we can see how grateful Hulkenberg is for it here, actually, because it really was a firm smack in the side of his Williams, wasn't it?
I mean, Kobayashi's just done nothing really, has he,
He's
this
a
year,
passenger.
apart from having all sorts of dramas. I mean, that could have been easily a broken leg for at least one of those drivers.
Well, the other thing as well, Martin, sorry to come across you there, you notice how the car was launched slightly as it came over the inside of the back of the curb, and this is something that the GPDA, the drivers, work on quite hard when they go around the circuits to make sure that if you do have an incident like that, you don't get launched off the back of normally what was a sort of just very aggressive step in the concrete. So with these high noses, that could have been a very nasty incident.
Well, you know, we can never get away from the safety, and I think it is commendable what the drivers do to make sure they're continually a bugbear with some of the promoters and the organisers and the circuits and having things moved, but it's paid off. Look at the safety features that now are currently in Formula One are second to none.
Well, thankfully, because of the safety features in Formula One, not long after that crash, Kamui Kobayashi was able to speak to Lee Mackenzie.
Kamui, just tell us, was that another front wing failure or was there contact?
I don't know, I have no idea at the moment, you know, same, I couldn't control. And I saw something failed when I started locking, but I don't know what is that. But I couldn't control anymore, that's definitely.
A little bit of quite a big accident, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay, but it's fast lap. I'm really sad, you know.
Okay, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, frustrating weekend for him.
Yeah, let's hope that's heart rate monitor he was wearing there rather than it looks like a brass wrapper. I don't know if anyone noticed that on his
I'm thinking it probably will be a
there.
heart rate monitor,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking that at the moment his front wing went under the car, his heart was going pretty fast. Talking of which, you said it was the third most scary thing to happen to you in a Formula One car. What's first and second?
First is the stuck throttle.
Yeah.
And second is the brake failure.
Nasty.
Third, front wing.
Fourth?
Toboggan.
Those three are enough in my book.
That'll do me, yeah.
We could go on all day, couldn't we? But it's dark here, so I guess we better wrap it up. Thank you so much for sharing this weekend. A really, really special race weekend for Formula One at just the right time, David.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, 2 weeks after we were all saying yawn to the new regulations, we've had a very, very exciting race. So we just need more changeable conditions, and I think we're in for a great season.
And we came into this year talking about the four big teams. We've got Red Bull still with their reliability problems, question marks still over Michael Schumacher. Jenson Button's proved that he can win a race for McLaren, and Ferrari looking strong after a tough season last year.
Absolutely, but let's not get away from what is the perennial problem. We need to make overtaking happen when cars are closer together like that. It's just unacceptable that you need to have a gap of 3 seconds a lap before you're able to pass with any degree of comfort. That's just not possible.
But it's a real relief for all those people that did set their alarm clocks. And let's not forget, it was 6 o'clock this morning that we went on air. That's with the clocks going forwards. We saw a lot of overtaking today. Big relief for people who got up early.
It was a classic race, and the safety car played a role, as did the weather, and so did the drivers. I thought in Bahrain they were all way too cautious. They didn't know how the tyres and brakes were going to be, fuel consumption, and I think they had an endurance mentality on. Today, they really looked like they meant business, and it was thrilling, wasn't it?
Oh, it was absolutely thrilling, particularly for Jenson Button. This is a nice exclusive for us. For the first time, this is Jenson celebrating a race win at McLaren. You can see him there with the trophy. A really special day for everybody, and an incredible atmosphere out here in Australia. Thank you so much for getting involved with us today. Thank you very much for dropping us emails to f1forum@bbc.co.uk. Really was very good fun indeed, and it was a bit of a bore in Bahrain, but thankfully Formula One was livened up by the Australian rain. Thanks ever so much for being with us. We'll see you in 7 days' time in Malaysia. Can that man win again? Bye-bye.